President-elect Trump plans to appeal his sentencing. A New York judge sentenced him today with no penalty. NTD's White House correspondent Iris Tao has more from West Palm Beach.
President-elect Trump on Friday was sentenced to unconditional discharge, in which he's not jailed, fined, or given probation. Judge Juan Merchan says anything more severe would interfere with the protections given to Trump by his upcoming presidency.
Extraordinary legal protections afforded by the office of the chief executive is a factor that overrides all others. Sir, I wish you Godspeed as you assume your second term in office.
But Trump, appearing remotely from Palm Beach, Florida, maintained that the case should have never been brought, adding it was to target him politically.
It was done to damage my reputation so that I'd lose the election, and obviously that didn't work. And the people of our country got to see this firsthand.
Trump was convicted in May on 34 felony counts of falsifying business records during his 2016 campaign. The Supreme Court on Thursday declined to stop the Friday sentencing, despite Trump saying the case should not proceed while he's appealing on the grounds of presidential immunity. But Trump on Friday again vowing to appeal the sentencing, adding the real jury, the American people, have spoken by re-electing him. He said at a Thursday night gathering,
We won the popular vote by millions of people. The real vote is that, and they tried to stop that from happening.
Meanwhile, the Friday sentencing caps a years-long period in which Trump was battling 4 criminal cases, all while campaigning for presidency. The Justice Department has dropped its 2020 election case and the classified documents case against Trump as he's set to return to office. And in the Georgia election case, an appeals court last month disqualified the prosecutor in that case, Fani Willis, leaving that case in limbo. Reporting from West Palm Beach, Iris Tao, NTD News.
And another high-profile case, the U.S. Supreme Court heard arguments on whether or not the upcoming TikTok ban violates free speech. A ban on the Chinese-based video-sharing app will take effect on January 20th unless its parent company ByteDance divests. NTD correspondent Jason Blair has the update.
Does the January ban on TikTok violate the First Amendment? The nation's highest court heard oral arguments on Friday.
That they would use that information over time to develop spies, to turn people, to blackmail people, people who a generation from now will be working in the FBI or the CIA or in the State Department. Is that not a realistic assessment by Congress and the President of the risks here?
Well, Your Honor, I'm not disputing the risks. I certainly acknowledge the risk, but I think there are lots of reasons, not just the one I just gave, but there are lots of reasons why that risk still can't justify the law.
The legislation enacting the ban argues that TikTok poses national security risks, cybersecurity threats, and could be an avenue for propaganda. This is due to the ability the Chinese Communist Party has to control the app. TikTok and ByteDance's arguments aren't primarily against the risks the ban is citing, however, that even with the risks, they argue that the law is violating free speech.
So are we supposed to ignore the fact that the ultimate parent is in fact subject to doing intelligence work for the Chinese government? It seems to me that you're ignoring the major concern here of Congress, which was Chinese manipulation of the content and acquisition and harvesting of the content.
The government's real target, rather, is the speech itself. It's fear that Americans, even if fully informed, could be persuaded by Chinese misinformation. That, however, is a decision that the First Amendment leaves to the people.
When the court will make a decision on the case is not yet clear, but if TikTok's parent company, China-based ByteDance, does not divest from the app, by January 19th, it will be banned in the U.S. starting January 20th. Any entities that still carry TikTok after then could face big penalties like $5,000 for each user determined to have downloaded, updated, or maintained the app through a store's platform. Reporting outside of the Supreme Court in Washington, D.C., Jason Blair, NTD News.
And raging wildfires across the greater Los Angeles area have claimed lives and displaced thousands, forcing residents to flee their homes. NTD's Christina Corona has more from a location where many residents are trying to return.
We're here in the city of Altadena, where the Eaton fire has now scorched nearly 14,000 acres and has unfortunately destroyed nearly 4,000 structures. We're here on Lake Avenue, where several businesses have been burned to the ground. As you can see behind me, this was once an auto shop, and you can see the charred cars, some of the smoke still coming, and the garage barely hanging on. This is one of many businesses that are gone here in Altadena. Many residents in Altadena are trying to return to their homes. However, the National Guard arrived Thursday night to help keep civilians away from the area and allow emergency personnel to pass through. One resident shared that she has made several attempts to return to her home to retrieve her medications.
Yes, this is third day we are trying to pass to get in and to get first needed our prescription and medicines. We are not aware of status of our home since we left January 7th, and that was the last time we saw the house, and I was like, if I see my house one more time, I'm gonna hug it.
Another resident who lost his home, cat, and dog is staying strong by setting up a relief center at his church, providing clothes and essential items for those affected by the fire.
Our goal today is to get resources to the fire victims, as well as assist any first responders that are up here working. But more importantly, we're providing water, toiletries, items for babies and children, clothing for men and women, along with water. One of our challenges is with the barricades and the National Guard being here, they're making it a little tough for people to get into this area.
As of Friday afternoon, the combined wildfires raging across Los Angeles County have now claimed 10 lives. We drove up near the canyon here in Altadena, and we didn't see any sign of any active wildfires in this area. With the latest update, it is moving north toward Mount Wilson, and it is now 3% contained, but unfortunately the Eaton fire is still under investigation. Reporting from Lake Avenue in the city of Altadena, Christina Corona, NTD News.
And as those raging wildfires continue to engulf parts of California, today President Biden briefed the public. He says the situation is improving, but there's still a long way to go. Meanwhile, the Pentagon will provide more federal support to battle the blazes.
While the winds have died down for the time, we expect they'll remain a threat until early next week. So we're going to keep working 24/7 to support state and local officials to fully stop these fires as soon as possible.
Currently, over 600 California National Guardsmen are activated, including 14 hand crews for fuel mitigation, 200 military police for security operations, and 10 helicopters for firefighting and search and rescue operations. This number is expected to increase over the next 24 hours.
California Governor Gavin Newsom and Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass joined the White House meeting virtually. President Biden and his administration would make funding and other support available as soon as possible. He also urged Congress to provide additional funding for disaster relief. And also in Congress, Republican and Democratic lawmakers are responding to those devastating wildfires in California. Each party has a different demand of the federal government. Our Washington correspondent, Luis Martinez, has more on the story.
With the House of Representatives off session, lawmakers rushed back to their districts to assess the damage caused by the ongoing wildfires in California.
In Altadena, I saw utter destruction, blocks of homes that were burned to the ground. In Pasadena, I saw homes that were selectively burned to the ground. It was explained to me that's because it was an ember fire.
Democratic lawmakers are requesting President Biden approve as much relief as possible, fearing that a Trump administration will take a different approach.
We do have funds in FEMA that could be obligated so that Trump can't mess with them starting January 21. And second, I'm going to ask him for an emergency supplemental. I don't think we can pass that in Congress or will in the next couple of weeks. But giving his imprimatur to that is going to be so important. This is not only the most costly fire in American history, it's more costly than the other 10 fires that you would list.
Other lawmakers have welcomed the resources provided by other states, but have also noted the lack of preparation or inadequate preparation of local authorities to confront these wildfires.
I did hear that Arizona is sending firefighters. The Pechanga Indians, a Native American tribe, is sending their firefighters. We are seeing wonderful joint response from other states, from Northern California. And California is used to sharing fire resources. This is something that's already been set up. Certainly we could use more, and we can certainly use some rain.
Freshman Republican Senator Tim Sheehy has proposed a federal standard to respond to wildfires.
We have a collection of government entities, county, state, federal, that are not properly coordinated to fight these fires. It's not the fault of these brave firefighters on the ground or the brave water bomber pilots you see on TV doing their job. That's what I used to do. It's the fault of a failed federal coordination system that is not properly built for purpose. We need to have national regulation that requires rapid response to wildfires.
It is unlikely that Congress will consider any supplemental aid for California before March, when lawmakers have to tackle a government funding deadline. Reporting from Washington, D.C., Luis Eduardo Martinez, NTD News.
Thank you for watching the Capitol Report. If you want to see our full broadcast, check us out at epochtv.com.